I have a problem when these two words, modern audience, are tied to any movie, especially when it's Superman. And I had very low expectations going in, but it seems like all of the mainstream outlets are getting a lot of different points to pepper us with that really don't drive us to any other conclusion that this movie might suck. You see, James Gunn's been releasing clips left and right about a very negative Lois Lane in something that I don't think any man wants to contend with, a masculine woman, and that's all we've seen so far. And when you set all that aside, the weakness of this Superman has been on full display. And yet, that might be one of the best points that Gunn's bringing up, at least according to the mainstream. We've got to talk about this disaster, or potential disaster, I'll say, with just a little bit of hope left over. Here we go. James Gunn presents James Gunn's Superman by James Gunn. At least that's CBS's news approach to this article coming out just a couple days ago on June 29th. You see David Cornsweet and director James Gunn on a more down-to-earth Superman. Oh boy, that's almost as terrifying as saying outright modern audience. He was born on Krypton, but the Man of Steel comes to life in California. Inside an edit room in Burbank, it's there that James Gunn is reviewing a scene from what Warner Brothers hopes is a summer blockbuster. Hopes? I thought this thing was guaranteed. Superman, with a reported budget of at least $225 million. At least? Holy cow. It arrives in theaters on July 11, and much to my chagrin, I am terrified by what I'm about to see. It's the first feature from DC Studios because, well, that's brand new. It's a division of Warner Brothers, and Gunn's not only the film's director, but he wrote the screenplay and he's DC's CEO. And I'm still kind of nervous and worried, and I think I'm not alone. I feel good about the movie, he says, and I'm excited about that. And I think we've done something that's different. Different? With Superman? I'm not liking these talking points at all. And among these differences, of course, is my Superman is not indestructible. We see him bleed immediately. At times, I've thought he's too strong. You don't want him to be able to punch a planet in half, or for that matter, go around a planet a billion times to make time go backwards, you know? This is not your Donner Superman. And it doesn't seem like Superman at all. Now I'm even more worried about the future for this film, and for DC as a whole, to be fair. I wanted Superman a little more down to earth. Why? Superman is a powerful alien drawing power from our sun and his exposure to it. He is, after all, the superhero with many and various different powers and the ability to do things that are impossible for teams or tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of humans. It's just in his nature. And few things are more down to earth than a dog. The dog is the whole reason it was the start of the movie for me. 1,000%. I adopted a dog. Oh, this is James Gunn. James Gunn produces Superman by James Gunn. Nightmare. His name is Ozu, and he didn't want to be touched. He had never known human beings. He chewed up all our furniture. He was, chasing the cat and just being the worst dog you can imagine. And I thought, wow, what if this terrible dog had superpowers? I'd be really screwed. James Gunn, it sounds like we're the ones who are really screwed. Talk about putting yourself into your movie 1,000 times over. The first Superman feature film came out in 1951 with George Reeves, who later played the role on TV. In this century, Superman has been played by Brandon Routh, Henry Cavill, but in at least 75 years, only one big screen Superman fully captured the audience's imagination, Christopher Reeve. Yeah, in the films that he just poo-pooed on. I am not a fan of this guy. And here's where an actor actually sounds a little humble. I don't think there's any way or reason to try to sort of live up to Christopher Reeve. Cornsweet said. I just feel grateful to get to play the character that he embodied and put into the public consciousness in such a positive and strong way. Yeah, he was the embodiment of Superman for pretty much everybody from my generation onward, and even my parents' generation. He lived up to the role in a way that we haven't seen much since. Maybe Dean Cain, and perhaps even Henry Cavill, had he not been cast by Zack Snyder at a terrible point in DC's history. When CBS News caught up with him, they likened him to, well, Superman, saying Cornsweet is immediately disarming as well as vulnerable, as in a scene with Superman's girlfriend, reporter Lois Lane, played by Rachel Brosnahan. Again, strong female character. Is this film also female-centric by the clips that Gunn has released? Looks like it. And the problem with all of this, every single one of these misstatements about an original Superman, is the following. Superman has been saving the world for nearly 9 decades. Created by Jerry Siegel and drawn by Joe Shuster, he first appeared in a comic in 1938. Asked if Superman represents the signature American movie character, critic and filmmaker Elvis Mitchell said, "I think he's bigger than that. Spider-Man is tortured. You know, he has to support himself and his aunt, and he's responsible for the death of his uncle. And Batman's responsible for the death of everybody in his line of sight. They're all suffering. But Superman, he stands tall, and there's a pride of authorship literally in the character, because he's creating his own narrative as his alter ego. People want to see that. They want to believe that you can create your own narrative in a way that is benevolent, even if you have all the power in the world. It's wrong of you to turn away from people who need your help. And in every regard, that is the definition and the core of Superman. And that's something I think James Gunn missed. And I'm worried about that. And believe it or not, out of all the paragraphs that follow, there's nothing more poignant than that assessment of Superman and the very heart of a character that we probably won't see on screen. Whether or not Cornsweet's a good Superman is up for the audience to decide. Whether or not the movie being good, that's Gunn's fault. And it's all Gunn from here because he promoted himself more than anything in this film. And I am terrified at what we are about to get, which is not the emotion you should be experiencing on your way in to see a film. And because of my lovely hater audience that I have now, I will say this. Point out a better Superman than Christopher Reeve in the 1978 films that started it all with Donner at the helm. I don't think you can. And if this is not at least that good or better, DC's already dead. Because following this movie is Supergirl, which is going to be a huge deviation from what the fans want to see. And ultimately, that's what filmmaking is about. Making things the fans and the followers want to see. And of course, at the end of the day, the box office is the ultimate decider. Whether or not somebody tells you this was a good film, it's always going to be what it earns. And with a budget over $225 million, this film will need to make over $600 million to even sniff breaking even. Is it possible? Sure. Will this hit $1 billion? Probably not. And does this have a chance to spectacularly flop? Of course. But again, the box office decides. For me, I have to go see the movie in order to speak intelligently about it and to give it some sort of a review. I have to know what I'm talking about. But you don't have to. You see this on the word of somebody else or a reviewer that you trust, or maybe just a creator and their assessment of the overall project. But for Warner Brothers, everybody needs to see this, and it needs to be a big winner. The question is whether the new DC is better than the old DC. On that note, those are my thoughts. Let me know what you think. Are you looking forward to David Cornsweet as Superman? Do you think James Gunn can deliver a good movie and not a modern, audience-driven piece of garbage? Do you think Warner Brothers will be grateful or remorseful in hiring Gunn in the first place? And where in this chain of events is Safran, outside of providing the money and being the bean counter on this one? Is there any way that he could rein Gunn in and actually help make this a better movie? I hope so. On that note, be sure to take care of yourself, take care of others, and until next time, see ya! Maybe it's Superman.